Hi guys, welcome back. And yes, I am so glad to be back. It's been a rough 4 months, and I want to thank everybody for so much support. I am doing much, much better. I'm not in the same place as I was 4 months ago, and I'm so glad I took that time to concentrate on myself, my family, because that's what I was doing, and just to get everything together. And because if your teacher isn't together, you're not going to be together. What are we going to do today? I was asked by a certain entity, and I can't say whether it's an individual, a company, that part is secret, but I've been asked to test some paper. I'm putting it up against another paper. This is right now one of my favorite papers. And I don't want to talk about what it is because you're going to find out, not in this video, but kind of later down the line, you're going to find out what I'm doing this for. I'm not in my art room, so I don't have my lights set up perfectly. Right now, I'm upstairs in my bedroom, not too far from the closet I haven't gotten out of in 4 months. But my art room is being remade. So I'm going to be doing a big tour of some really huge changes. Like, nothing in my art room is the same. It's all been redone, and that will be ready very soon, but I'm not doing art in it yet. I'm up in my bedroom doing it. So I brought my desk up, this is the old desk, and I just have my lights on one side. So it's going to be a little bit shadowy, hopefully not too bad. So we're going to test this paper out. And why is this really a good review for you guys? Because everything having to do with art is your paper. If you could do the most beautiful job, and if your paper is really bad, it's going to show. It's going to affect everything. So you really want to get the right paper for the right medium, even down to the color. So I'm keeping a sheet of my second favorite, or my favorite medium that I use all the time, on the side so that I can kind of compare. And I've already done two tests that they probably didn't expect me to be doing. I weighed the paper. Now, I have not been told anything about this paper. I don't know what type of paper it is. I don't know how it's going to react. They gave me 3 sheets of it, and this is one of it. I put it through my printer. I wanted to see how the ink from my printer holds up on this paper. Why did I do that? Well, I want to see if the paper smudges, what the tooth is like for ink. And I have to say, it was very sharp. So printing on this paper is a definite go. It printed beautifully. I like the color of the paper. It's a nice bright white. It kind of matches the same. It's a hair shade different. I would think this paper here is just a drop lighter, but nothing that's going to affect your coloring if you like to use a bright white paper. This is perfectly fine. It passes the test. I weighed the paper. This paper here that I've been given to test is actually 1 gram heavier than my old standby paper. So it is not a significant difference, but there was a full gram difference on this paper. Next, I wanted to see what my feeling was in rubbing my hand against it. What did it feel like? Was it toothy? Was it too smooth? And so what I had my kids do is they took both papers, and I closed my eyes. I didn't cheat at all. They shuffled the paper, and I ran my hands very lightly over the paper. I wanted to see if I could significantly feel a difference. And the first couple of times I wasn't 100% sure, but I kept hitting on this paper as toothier. And then the last 2 times that I did it a total of 4 times. And the last 2 times I was positive I felt the difference between it. And there's definitely a toothier quality to this paper than this paper. What counts the most is how the tooth holds up. So I'm going to put it through some major tests. I'm going to use a wax pencil a watercolor because this is paper that's going to be mixed media. How does the tooth on the paper hold up? And that's a big difference between what one paper is going to be like versus another one. Even if they're the same weight or pound, it's how it holds up. What is the quality of the paper? And also, I've run into the past whether there's marks that get left. I've had paper where you're coloring and coloring, and the tooth of the paper makes a pattern, and that really messes with you. So, is this tooth smooth? We're going to find out. I'm going to test it against wax pencils, watercolor pencils, marker, pastel, base paste, because I want to know, is this paper going to hold up against my own product? Acrylic, gel pen, and oil pencil. Now I'm testing oil pencil and wax pencil, Prismacolor being a wax pencil for sure, and I'm going to use Starjoy because I helped the company develop that one also. I'm going to test, and I know that this is an oil pencil for sure. So there is no doubt. But not only that, on marker, I'm going to test alcohol on one side and the worst product you could possibly use on your paper, water marker. Okay? Now, if anything is going to destroy paper, it's going to be this right here in my hand. Will tear up paper, and we'll see what it does. Okay, I've gotten out several colors of Prismacolor. Now, I'm not creating art. I'm not going to draw a picture. I want to test to see how it handles. And I have a light touch. And my light touch first layer is going to actually show me the tooth. You're going to be able to see it because I'm only skimming the surface. This is when I could tell if the paper has some scratches in it. Now, all paper has scratches just from being handled. Okay, so let's see how this paper is. Bring it up, and that's a pretty nice, smooth first layer. I do have a couple of scratches in it, but that's normal. It's first layer. It's no big deal. Now I'm going to do a cross, and I'm going to use a different color so that we could see the different layers. So I'm going to end up at the end having a yucky brown color on the paper, but I want to be able to distinguish my layers. So this is layer 2, and I'm seeing how it's holding up. Now, remember, when you're doing layering, you want to cross hatch it. You want to go in one direction, the next, and that's going to give you a smoother lay down than if you go in the same direction the entire time. So it's one way, the other way. Just keep going your hands back and forth. And now I'm going to go the same way for layer 3. And let's get a 4th layer. Now I'm going to start making my hand go a little bit heavier. I want to get medium pressure. See how it holds up. And with a burnishing layer, you always do small circles. And you want everything to smooth out. I'm going to burnish with the orange. I want to see how it takes one more layer. And I am doing a rush job on it because we have a lot to go through. And let's see how that took. This paper is burnished. It is shiny. This takes pencil very nicely. I'm going to say this passed. We're going to go on to the watercolor. I don't highly recommend using full watercolor on coloring book paper, but people still do it, and that's why I wanted to test it. So I'm going to do 2 techniques. On this half of the page, I'm just going to add water to it. And now I'm going to add wet on wet and see how it works. Not bad, but I want to see how badly this paper buckles. So wet on wet is nice. And now I'm going to do wet on dry. on this side. And it's taking it nicely. And I wanted to get through the watercolor because we have to let this dry. And I want to see what the buckling situation is going to be. So now let's take a look at the markers. I've got some alcohol marker, and I'm using Prismacolor. And I already know the feel of this paper is good for marker, but I still want to see what it's like when it bleeds. Not too much bleeding. A little bit. Okay, so there is a little bit of bleeding on the edge. Not bad. If you are using it as with coloring book lines, there should be no problem. That's pretty good for a mixed media. I mean, it's not a marker paper, it's a mixed media, and it's pretty decent. But will it hold up to the water? This is notorious for tearing up paper. One layer. By 3 layers, I should be tearing the paper on most coloring book papers when using water markers. This is 3. I'm not feeling too much damage. 4 layers without even allowing it to dry. 5 layers. I'm officially very impressed. 6 layers. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And that is 6 layers of water marker. I'm very impressed. Now I'm going to get out 2 types of pastel. I've got an oil pastel. You want a toothier paper when you use pastel. That's just the way it is. So let's see how it grabs it. Now let's see how smooth we can get it. Okay, and now let's get another color going on top of that. I'm a finger smoother when it comes to pastels. I admit it, I'm awful, but I am a finger smoother. My shame. Okay, it's not the greatest tooth in the world for pure pastel. A lot of people use the chalk pastel on their backgrounds, even though you really should be using chalk pastel with a very toothy paper. Let's see how that goes. Clean finger. Not too bad. Let's see if I can get it darker. It's holding the chalk pretty well. In the middle, of course, it mixed with the oil. Now let's get base paste. Now that's my own product. So if it doesn't pass muster with the base paste, you fail. I'm joking, but I'm not really joking. I use base paste on all my backgrounds now. So I've got some green. By the way, this is the new formula base paste. This is not like the base paste DIY. This is going to be made available to you. And it's beautiful with base paste. I know in the past I've taught you to rub it off and stuff. You don't have to do that anymore with the new formula. We'll talk about that in another video, and that's why I'm not rubbing it off. You don't have to. It's totally dry now. Beautiful. You passed base paste. Now, I have a new acrylic marker, and I have the gold one out here right in front of me. This is coming from a company, ZSCM, and it's a brand new acrylic marker. It's like an acrylic ink. That's how they brought it out. Let's see how it works. I wanted to see if it absorbs the glitter on this. Not too bad. And this is a hard one because it's the gold. If I was using one of their other ones, it would probably be smoother. I'm going to get another one. I got one of their other ones. Let's see if I can get it a little bit smoother, because gold is very hard to get smooth. And I don't want to say no. And it's beautiful. Very nice. It's dried very smoothly. Okay, now we're going to get through the gel pen. Okay, it's not pulling the ink that good. I may have a dry pen. Okay, I don't love gel pen with this paper. Honestly, I have another sheet of paper, and these gel pens are running smooth on the other paper. I'm not impressed with gel pen on this paper. I'm going to get out another one because I know these pens and it's working fine. Yeah, no, I'm going to say gel pen's not that great. Yeah, the gel pen ink is kind of smushing around on it. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for gel pen. And these pencils have not been sharpened yet. I forgot to sharpen them. So you always want to sharpen a pencil first, because it will go to the paper much better once it's sharpened. It's doing okay for an unsharpened pencil. That's nice and smooth. Oh yeah, that's nice. I want to try it with a little bit of wax pencil over it. Very nice. Let's get a little oil pencil over that. It's holding up nicely. You can see well, it's a lighter pencil, but you can see the way the layers are going on top of each other on this, and it's nice. I'm going to say yes for the oil pencils. Now, oil pencils are always going to be more translucent than wax pencils. Now, this isn't fully dry. It's partially dry, and my paper is pretty... You can see it's still wet. It's not that buckled. So while I wouldn't use a heavy amount of water on this paper, or any paper that isn't a cotton linen water paper, this held up for routine coloring very nicely. Over here on the wet on dry, it's already smooth, it's dry, and there is no buckling. On the wet side, it's still a little bit of buckling that will probably just flatten out as it dries. My overall opinion of this paper, this is for the entity who needs this information from me. I'm very impressed. I'm going to give it a gold star. This is very nice paper. You could do a lot with it. I'm most impressed with the fact of how nicely it held up. I do feel a little paper damage. Running my finger over now, it's dry. And that is with every water marker in creation on the best paper. It'll still pull your tooth out of the paper. But I had 6 layers on there, and it's held up. I would have expected already to be right through the paper, and I was nowhere near going or making any holes in the paper. Very nice. So, I hope you learned a little bit about what you need for each type of medium and what to look for in the paper that you're using. And with that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.